Searching for the reality of life existence, and metamorphosis sublimation. Preamble. People accept life when they have no choice, then spend it under conditions of no choice, and finally give it back under an irresistible struggle. This is true not only for human beings, but also for all other species. It is as if the existence of life in the universe itself is destined to be an unexpected and unpredictable existence. For those who are highly intelligent and want to find the existence of life and its metamorphosis and ascension, this is the mystery of the supraconsciousness, the mystery of the unchanging for ages. But for people who live and die in a muddle, who have wine today and are drunk today. But it is a meaningless, boring and irrelevant question that I do not want to know. As early as the ancient Greek period in BC, there was a philosophy of analytical thinking that explored and reflected on the fundamental questions of life, knowledge, the meaning of life, and the value of existence in relation to the existence of the self. For example, is there an objective standard of morality? What is the meaning of the existence of life itself? The literature shows that at that time, the academics had a systematic, organized law or law. According to the literature, the academics already had a systematic and organized doctrine of laws or arguments. The philosophical view of life, which is derived from the verification of the actual daily life experience, or through conceptual deduction, was probably germinated in Romanticism in Germany in the labing-18th century. This continental European literary, artistic, and cultural movement began in the German Confederation during the Industrial Revolution of 1789 and flourished from 1810 to 1850. In contrast to the rational concept of Romanticism, the focus was on strong emotional feelings as the source of aesthetic experience. It also begins to emphasize that human beings, through their senses, have direct feelings and emotions about all objects or phenomena that exist objectively in nature, such as anxiety and panic, as well as the most direct reflection of human perceptions of the objective world, such as illusion, helplessness, and powerlessness. They believe in the commonness and inevitability of events, and in the supernatural, superhuman mysterious realm and power that governs nature and society, and therefore have infinite reverence and worship for God. At the same time, they share the universal nature of all objects or phenomena that exist in nature objectively before their eyes. It is the awe-inspiring cognition and feeling that determines the basic trend of the development of such things, and determines the nature of all objects or phenomena that exist in the natural world. It is the art of reflecting objective reality and expressing the writer's spiritual world figuratively by using body, language and words as tools. This philosophy of life is characterized by the ideas, cultures, morals, customs, arts, institutions, and behaviors that have been passed down from generation to generation and from history. It is a literature that reflects the expression of life and emotions with rhythm and rhyme, aesthetic ideology, and the emotions hidden in the text with sensibility. It is a study of the principles of the universe and life, and is also considered to be the original origin of literature. It first took place in human societies before writing, and was transmitted in the form of spoken word, combined with music and dance. It is also considered to be the original origin of literature. It first occurred in human societies before writing, in oral form, and was combined with music and dance. They include poetry, prose, novels, plays, fables and fairy tales, etc. They are important forms of cultural expression, expressing inner feelings in different forms, genres, and reproducing the social life of a certain period and a certain region. The rise of this school of philosophy emphasizing life is mainly in response to the constant emphasis since the Enlightenment in the 17th century on the rationality of thinking about or judging something from different viewpoints or perspectives, and on the fact that all objects or phenomena that exist objectively in nature are not influenced by subjective thought or consciousness. Cartesianism is a combination of the independent nature of existence, and the individual's ability to realize his or her own will according to his or her own knowledge and laws. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Cartesianism was prevalent in Germany and France on the European continent. At the same time, it is also the reaction to natural science, which takes certain objects as the scope of study, and seeks to obtain unified and exact objective laws and truths based on experiments and logical reasoning. They are the researchers of natural and social phenomena, according to the existing empirical knowledge, experience, facts, laws, cognition, and tested hypotheses. By generalization and deductive reasoning and other methods, logical inferential summation, that is, natural science, as well as technological advances, the way caused by the formation of rigid constraints on the framework, without any change, is a pool of lifeless stagnant water. Although it is sufficient to understand all human activities, and the natural phenomena of people, things, and objects, it cannot grasp the universe, human nature, and the spiritual culture of human beings. In contrast to the existentialist philosophy of life, which opposes the standpoint of studying and analyzing or criticizing problems and issues based on the stereotypical and static viewpoint, it advocates the rhythmic movement or changing rhythm of autonomous life, which is close to understanding the metamorphic sublimation process of continuous movement, generation and stay. Therefore, it is believed that life can only be mastered through the cultivation of daily life experiences, and the conscious search for inner experiences, and intuitive methods, and the meaning of one's own life existence. Therefore, those who are superconscious and eager to uncover the meaning of the existence of life itself, are searching for an objective existence of all objects or phenomena in nature, which is the truth of the ancient human philosophy of life. In contrast to the modern holistic, fundamental, and critical inquiry into the realm of reality and man, it is necessary to highlight the truth of will, emotion and intuition in the field of philosophy and psychiatry. The purpose is to avoid deviations in perception and cognition of the individual state of mind and body and the changes in people, events, and objects in the environment through mental activities such as sensation, perception, thinking, and memory, as well as the denial of the humanity, personality, and freedom that exist in life itself. This view of the meaning, value and purpose of life as the actuality or practice of the philosophy of life is different from the research orientation of the Enlightenment, which does not emphasize the supremacy of logic and reason, and forms a unique interpretation of the search for the inquiry into the existence of the self and the phenomenon of life existence itself. It is also different from the empirical and analytical model that requires objectivity, rationality, and empirical evidence. Rather, it is an understanding and appreciation of the search for self-existence, and the phenomenon of one's own existence, from the perspective of a holistic phenomenon of life existence. This interpretation and understanding is the search and exploration of the existence of the self, the existence of life. In order to avoid existentialism, which emphasizes too much on the subjective consciousness of autonomy and tends to go to the relativism of arbitrariness. At the same time, the unique ideology behind Gaia's social culture is easily ignored and becomes a deconstructive tool for the rationalization and interpretation of existentialist spiritual phenomenology. Therefore, the interpretation and understanding of the study of the search for the existence of self-life and the existence of life itself emphasizes the search and inquiry phenomenon of the existence of life itself, which is based on the integration of the mutual subjectivity of the existence of self-life and the existence of life itself. The search for the existence of the self, the search for the existence of life itself, is the understanding of the existence of life itself by consensus, the system of the rules of the existence of life, not the search for purely cause and effect relationships, the formation of laws. The cognitive ability and the clarity of the cognition of the environment and the self is based on the presumption of the existence of life itself and the totality of life existence, and emphasizes the interplay between the life existence, as a whole, the life existence itself, and the individual life existence itself and the vision of life existence. Because of this orientation of searching for the existence of the self, It is easy to fall into judging all the objects or phenomena that exist objectively in nature according to one's own cognitive understanding, not seeking to conform to the actual situation, and easily favoring the understanding of individuality and subjective meaning. Therefore, the establishment of a universal decentralized general knowledge is a thought activity that inspires the human brain to reflect the characteristics and connections of objective things, and to reveal the meaning and effect of things on people, to be aware of the rigidity of self-cognition and identification behavior, so as to be sure that the individual consciously and voluntarily performs, or voluntarily pursues the overall, long-term goal of cognition. In addition, the ability to recognize the environment and the self, and the clarity of cognition, is the potential ability to consciously perceive and recognize the changes in one's physical and mental state and in the environment, people, things and objects. At the same time, it is also the ancient immortal path of awakening in order to realize a certain ideal, or to achieve a certain purpose, and to consciously work for it, through self-awakening thoughts of internal and external conflicts, in order to achieve metamorphosis and sublimation, and to break the cocoon.